A buffalo hunter calls on his ancestor's spirit to help him in his day's search for game. He is an Azande, a member of one of the largest tribes in Africa. He lives in a country that is fertile but cursed by disease, malaria, sleeping sickness, and dysentery. But for the Azande, their most common danger is witchcraft that may blight their crops, spoil the hunting, cause sickness, or even death. In the 19th century, Zande kings and princes created an empire that covered the heart of Africa, spreading from the tropical rainforests of the Congo to the grasslands of the southern Sudan. Decimated by the slave trade and broken by European colonial powers, the Azande sank into obscurity. In this remote setting, the Azande retain a complex system of practices that they use in solving the problems of everyday life, a system of magic, oracles, and witchcraft. Alongside these rituals, in churches and clearings in the bush, the Azande practice a more recent form of worship, Christianity. Christianity offers an alternative to their traditional magical practices, but has not replaced them. The two systems appear to conflict, but for the Azande, Christianity does not provide the same practical solutions to problems such as adultery, failure in the hunt, or even toothache, as do their witchcraft beliefs.
When I was a child, there were no Christians. There were very few. Now, practically, they are all Christians. Even though it is a common...
Father Jerome is the local Catholic priest, but he admits he is probably the only Zande in his parish, Christian or otherwise, who does not in times of trouble turn to witchcraft, magic, and sorcery.
They go to service. They go to service. But there are other things which are difficult for them to observe. So, for instance, for monogamy, they are mostly polygamists now. And witchcraft is the belief of all the Zande everywhere. Any illness is caused by somebody, by an evil eye, which is caused by something which is invisible inside the person. Of course, they don't think that everybody is having this invisible power of mangu.
Mangu is the Azande word for the essence of witchcraft. The Azande believe that mangu can be inherited. If a man or member of his family suffers illness or misfortune, witchcraft may be blamed. To find out who or what is behind the witchcraft, the Azande resort to one of the various oracles, devices which, when consulted, will reveal the truth. Magic can then be used to cure the ill. So at times of misfortune, an Azande doesn't turn to his priest for help, but to a more traditional authority, such as the local chief. A man like Chief Zorro, grandson of the last Zande king Gabudwi, still maintains a court in the old style. With the aid of his own police force, he dispenses justice. Even in civil cases, he tries to get at the facts by using such traditional methods as magic, divination, and oracles. Chief Zorro is about to hear an accusation of adultery. The man leading the way into the courthouse is Gingiti, who has accused his wife of committing adultery with a neighbor, Bukuyo, the man following him into the hut. Bukuyo's wife is next in line, and lastly comes Gingiti's wife, Gume, who denies the charge of infidelity leveled against her by her husband. Among the Azande, adultery is one of the most frequent crimes to be heard and judged by the chiefs. In the past, a chief like Zorro had the power of life and death over his subjects, and an adulterer was often executed for his crime. Today, the process by which the chief discovers the truth remains the same, although the punishment is more lenient. First to give evidence is the wronged husband, Gingiti.
Ipananga bude mana lina mali yuri kingi ko kumbalinga buku. Anukara rapera gugu. Gili lagu kita dire lina du korona likin bali bali kanduko. Ja buku yuri ka gay kana patata na itapata. Kabara kingi kulikin yang. Upana mangara na jari na takana patana ja buku ikati. Kirugene yobale uneka yumone. Kana bali tunaka zako kini ako muna vinga jaboro mu ya mwimini imuti akwimingere che kurwana ya kubali che kaga kukukora che dubaira cha tari chini wo mi bali na ke kono bibiani na manga o cha dun kini bo
buku yo ma vidiako buku yo ma ndusa diako diaro yotini kabiro
nanja manga shatunga mirala la kitagira biso
munipe kwa
mirala la kitagira biso bajini fo John buko kinigena na gizaza safari kwa kinyana mbirena bajini fo tele ana tunakambira ala jako kinige yobuli na mana fo dali bajini gina jakini yege kinike ka jana nya na jabo dun kene iza katuna patede gwe kata ko shado
ma nunga sadete
ya no sadete
ma nunga sadete da gini giti ga pana nge gine ma ndu tini kubuku yoyo
me nunga ndu kubuku yo mekene gwari kini zibaga kini ya me andu ka gigi ulitana kwa kwira ki ukafari mekimbulia ki ukobole mekimbulia fo ani nani na raporo kini daduli fo dali liye yango kisa na heteri ne ye kini ya na bia module ni nara na kumbai pa kumbai ya makura kuliro gini he muni ke ka jaji mo purale para si jijiri ngodu ni basa kini ye waliriyo nare bole be kini ye waliriyo nare kini gwari seseri sapota iza teka zako cheho kukini kachigine che kini zakaga wo cha Dubai ra
moti amo ma vinga kote
mi aranga na kote
mugumba kupale ngbembika wadwa de we gini liwi mwani uri hiwi mwani mu ijiparisa ulisa mukifunguni dagirire
akwa
ma nunga sekte manengo kafunguni naam wa tono ni kara kapona hane ma nunga sekte
Chief Sorrow has passed the problem of deciding the truth to benge, a scarce and expensive poison with a strychnine base. It is used in the most important and trustworthy of Zande oracles. Representatives are appointed for Bakoyo and Gume to consult the benge operator who administers the poison to chickens. The operator will ask the chickens whether Bakoyo did in fact sleep with the wife of Gingiti. Whether the chickens live or die will determine the truth. The ritually proper preparations for the use of benge take some days, so until then the accused, Bakoyo and Gume, are kept together in a prison hut on Sorrow's compound. There they will work for the chief until judgment has been passed. Although benge is the most important oracle, it is not the only one available to the Azande, nor are oracles used only in court cases. The Zande have a whole series of oracles they can consult to find out the who, why, and what of any troublesome occurrence. The Azande have no concept of bad luck. There is no such thing as a pure accident. Something made it happen, the most common cause being witchcraft. If an individual can find out who is bewitching him, he can then persuade the witch to stop and so prevent further misfortune. The person he accuses may be quite unaware of the harm he or she is alleged to be doing, for among the Azande you can be a witch without knowing it. While the adulterers wait for benge to be consulted, an example of the whole system could be seen in action at a homestead near Zorro's court. Zachariah Banda, a farmer, is trying to find out the cause of the illness that has been afflicting the elder of his two wives. He knows medicine can treat the illness. What he is trying to find out is who or what is causing it. The first step in his investigation is to consult Dagpa, the termite oracle. This inexpensive and simple form of oracle is consulted at dusk. Banda pushes two special sticks into a hole in a termite mound. Whilst inserting the sticks, he puts a simple question to the termites, asking them to inform him the following morning whether his wife's illness is likely to be fatal or not. Which stick the termites choose to eat will answer Banda's question. If they eat one stick, it means his wife will live. If they eat the other, his wife will die. Banda must now wait for the morning to see what answer the termite oracle will give. Banda suspects the illness is being caused by witchcraft, and since witchcraft is thought to be most effective over short distances, his second wife is the most likely suspect.
Kaza donego gupana dumbata urufogulina kapaya manga gaboro mara kono kasoro katipa basi gugu na ane anabafa iwa abafa iwa kinji kana kucha aboro in papi fuyo kini yawa ono gupana manga giwuni na muli gupale iba yawa kucha tikiji ndikiji gini mekivwe wacha dumbata
gatin bangba kuchili zezeleji kizeleji gunanduna lilegi mite tungegi miati odu me nangati nika me nango guvule yote gweduyo me bingati
kachamanga kindi po mikina kono kasana biate tipa kundalina kupanda ka soka bebe gubur bari men biko amina pepe chefa ga maburu ndiko doko na pefuko Siri payo. Me abaki ama guda dole gupana mangari. Ya da kafe behe. A urpo gura wore ka wuri zaridu. Ya kinga bete payo siri payo.
The termite oracle has told Banda his wife is in no immediate danger. But as something of a do-it-yourself method, it lacks prestige. So it's normal to check the termite's verdict with another oracle, the iwa, or rubbing board, operated by a specialist. Like the termites, the rubbing board offers only yes-no answers. Whether the two pieces of wood stick together or slide against each other gives the operator the answer.
Aki ya joro nina wakali ne kapi.
Gwa do tana ni ga
Analinga na nite. Mugi. Misalo waha kina mangu duna mangali yake.
Na pe ka pere fa ya mangu pa ka do ka tinsin ka pa ya mangal bere ya.
Ake bango. Katinsi ake.
Gure do pa ho ure pa ya ka mangali.
Ya gukulori do ko banili pa ya ka mangali. Liki agumini kini kadia kana kungbali pukenga gimabangu akagana ni kukuye mugi liki dukangba bolongo yalme logu rudwana ni kukita gano ni dukana kulikangba bangwa muidinga kukulu kudama muidinga zile kwa gabili be zaliti
wile ne na wili we wile ne ka gagba pa ya ka chikunga pa
ya yili na yegba
bunga wati pa ada ko poro bogbo sino na ade ona kala sa na yake bukula.
The two oracles have now told Banda that his wife will not die. For her to recover, Banda needs to find the person who is causing the illness and persuade that person to cleanse herself of any mangu or witchcraft. The most authoritative oracle that Banda could consult is benge, the poison oracle, the same oracle that is being prepared for use in the adultery case. Banda puts his question to an operator who gives the poison to chickens to discover who has bewitched his first wife. His first question is put in such a way that if the chicken dies, the second wife is the witch. If it lives, then someone else is responsible.
taba.
Moya kubenge ma jari dona na Rwanda. Kemo ni kuna bari. Ni ya lete ga chin min maka jeri kama ni bari. Ri pigo pa ku chere kaza kete na kondo kama ngari burgu dane uri bango. Uri fogo na mikinina. Ya do mi buda kurgu tamana. Ri do na mangari. Ko hime ho, punya ho, muge hime kondo zeri do gidi panata muge ku sikondo.
Benge ya kombanga banda. Jiji yako, moya mbuli mwana.
Gana Rwanda do.
Gana Rwanda. Gulike ni jiye, liko kimbuli ambuli kigaga kwa gomeli. Guliko kejiguli nga mikilina. Benge muge kusili kaza tine seli. Kini mangili na gwana pagwe benge muge mi gukandala ngawa taba.
Ayo baba.
Benga ulibangwa lineka himo na Rwanda benge mugeta gukandaleza gakangba yakiyo mwenu ni na raporo ulibangwa galipato jire balkanani zo udel pakoteli sana Rwanda benge mugeta gukandaleza gakangba uburambira sa kudaza kwali mindulu kuna kokoleko ya uni buli bengalime benge mukushakanda zile gudele bengi barungele bengi mugeta gukandaleza gakangba.
Banda has established who the witch is. He takes the opportunity to clear up other problems linked to his wife's illness. He first asks Benge whether he should divorce his second wife, since she has caused all the trouble. The death of a second chicken tells him that divorce would be pointless. Finally, Banda asks what action his second wife must take to help the first wife recover. The chicken lives, telling Banda that his second wife must purify herself. These results are now taken to Chief Zorro to add his approval to the findings of Benge. After consulting all three oracles, Banda now knows his first wife will live, and that it is the witchcraft present in his second wife that is causing the illness. To re-establish harmony in Banda's household, Sorrow sends a policeman to supervise the purification of the witchcraft.
Nga padia Zakaria nga giringa nanjye kumbatayo fuo ikini soroka bengeri benge kini mikondo kutiro singogu ajani atinia miye nane foro mvuime chipoli bambiko benge mikondo kana kutiro kyangu kaze na mangalire modu na mangali na singogu nikene uri mbutukawe na dungane mbagwanga pati ngamutuge emekivue chipoli chipakwaro duri Kumba kwali
Ngandu katweka vwe na imana bati dunia furati ngo ngandu katweka keka vwe
By spitting water, the second wife shows that she is begging the witchcraft in her belly to become inactive, to cool down. The evidence of Benge has shown that she is using witchcraft, although the Zande accept she might be doing so unconsciously. Invariably, the person who is accused will protest that he or she is unaware of trying to harm anyone, but of course will spit water to cure the evil. Zande believe the water must be spat sincerely for it to be of use.
Nobody said do here in here. Vleo do ako me do koy ku bitimo because bitimo do me ngo gupadu ko et. Me ngo gupadu bangire ku chili kamba dure himinga tini ku chili. Kamin kaya yantini na poli ogure ame vui me ovu me mangi apa yo ovu kinu ku che do yo. Mangule do. Tizali dikinale me. Atinge mi do. Na yeyo kai zuboli. Tizali dikinale me kutili. Me nangoti. Me nango kupado da bari nani te. Ana panga nani ate. Na pamba tana bodroni kaim.
Wago obuli konda ambili bali.
Benge nimbuli.
Nimbili benge kuvunio kia mangu yo. Bali kanuka imo guvulule. Nduko mongo gubole niti. Ya gwari leki di benge ni ukaa kumbwenio. Ni putani mwena inga nikidie kambiro dunduko. Kuvunio akumba kini lukulini. Kishimweni kumbo wa gukole potobeko. Longo du yeke osede ni nani. Longo du ikindi ya kutipu pa kondo. Kidu adwe we ni soro kamba taki ya benge ngamo. Ale mahera. Benge kiya iki kwa di pupa kondo kini dua. O yeka sanano ni. Ini shimano iki aforo mugbari kanduka mo. Mugbari teke wele kapaya mangaro mukida mogule iye mwe. Iki shimano belewe iki aforo munuka mogule. Mukida mogule. Nga guboro na ikakura. Iki shimani bele nikida mogule. Iki shimani belewe bishime. Nikita eka sungo kumba kini ni sungo awuru potole. Kukini kura kugiko yoli. Kini nani potole nana wa ni basa. Gukumbale kakwa gunga bebenge wa mune biya na kondo ya. Ikini ya kuku. Gukumbale mune jigupa kutikole mune kafubaso fuko bororo. Wakunde bweti bege budu wa benge. Guapa budu wa za shadu me apeforo.
Today, benge is used only on chickens, not people. But for the Azande, it is still the best way of arriving at the truth. In the adultery case, the accused, Bakuyo and Gume, denied the charges, so it was to Benge that Chief Zorro turned to establish the facts.
Kwa wingali teke na guli nga guli barara nga gudele nga sota na benga li kwa ranani
Benge ya kumbanga bukuyo koze kigule kipepa chidia gene gichi yo guli mali gunda nga gonna benge mujete bukandaleza bakanga ya tikanga kango bwa fusa du bapiyo du benge mujemi bukandala zile ga kupata mu bulahana sawa da za kwalo mintulu kuna kokolyoko ya ulu mbuli bengali mitilia bukuyo na gome kukumba pa yape kutiele ge panga ata benge mujezale kuchikanda
poro guli kusana
poro guli na guli tele kana boro gome uli mali gundo kuora patili kiza kigile ili kidibuli kiboli ko kukidinduko kiboli benge mujete kukondoleza kakangwa zile.
The chicken is dead. The oracle has proved adultery did take place. Chief Zorro will reconvene his court, and the evidence of Benge will be presented to him for judgment to be passed.
Bazile. Aboro mangaru kine fogo aboro ya puta ben na soro ka kutio. Nipo. Aide bali rusaguri na ngenga aide bali ali kiru kusai. Aba kumba kiru kina kumba tai ka afu pa kondo.
After several days, Chief Sorrow, hearing that the poison oracle had given a verdict, reconvened the court. The two accused of adultery, Bakoyo and Gume, are brought forward to hear from Sorrow's sub-chief the results of his consultation with the oracle.
Ya undu chipoli benge imi kondo. Wa lunga chipoli tego kondo kulu. Ndwa nyana kupate benge. Iki juguli kondo lakini ya bukoti. Kukibabe kauli. Iki mangi inga poneni. Bege china kondo. Ako bayra kuba janga ja benge kimi kondo. Iki jugulu. Kia gukonde kile uni kwekina na benge.
But for the verdict to be fair, a second sub-chief had represented the accused woman, Gume, and asked the oracle on her behalf whether the first chicken was correct.
Yes, Ginamba. Ikipamiachio, benge genhi mikondo. Ziledo, ulipayo ngate, nilima pedogingo kusayo. Kwa raningo nani benge mikondo, ziledo kubenge mikondo kuchikore benge maengale. Pungo benge duna papa mzonzo adunga gene chipaya. Chiko chikondo chene fogu niki bwali kuchiko. Jiredo lira ringo nako kiruka fukumbongo fulani na bia de geki na kondo. Bara alkifo furuka nako.
Uyeke bara mama. Mote. Bara mama. Longo dwa Petro mu video gini giti wa bengine mi kondo kutiro
mga chuma mi bengi kutira chipana kurana do gana ba
oni mangi bali nani mu mangi bali nako
Kana gana bala.
mwiye mwiye ini kuna pa maura ani zero ni uwe kipada gini giti wa oni ipia muka idani kinogulo gole kame selima ngani kinogulo go kuchironi benge na kushetie mijiro fugini giti na yongo ngashi tagini kipadi yako wakwafu longo du kwa imabatasa kia kamike dingolo kubomu manga gbabaye na diako ijiro na divisitayo longo do ulikisungu atigali kinane na rame ila mugia kinigiti munga kangutini longo do ikakula ni kamba kitumo pogwa kondole na be tamana halme nikale anga mutende poene kini ya imbukumbuko forole alas wasara gini odudu be guyesi gudenga guli naji kukumbalile ngodo ani betesiri ligati be bambika mo eziki narongo zilenga akaike ngo forole mukurutiamu
The threat of adultery is a very real one for chiefs like Zorro, since they have many wives, sometimes as many as 40.
Anini goina nane angara budwe nadia anga pai kanyame boro duane belibete kwa die kiduki na ngweli koni sako gipambo sorago yeduki gipo budwe na bodu rogu paenga kwa idanga boro vidia boro wogu kumani wilitere kukiashi apaya ashe wakamini ashe afugini gitire kuyimigu boro imotindire.
Older Azande, like Zorro, will, when possible, still use traditional practices, not only to assess the truth, but also to explain such everyday problems as why a hunt fails.
and any guard take a kebalia, take a kebalia will quickly. Can be yen on down if we are can do what do for it. Can you go and can you put a can do
Ga no wa do manga yore go urago bole do hane gine hane na buru furu ani ka ngona ngona nzu ya pi kita ye sambo so gine wo guru epile kini za kandu andu bole be ko yore ni base pi kina biata
gumo mi ya ro go fido
gidule
andria seki kona
sido.
Andrea and his fellow hunters have attempted 6 times in the past 4 weeks to kill the wild pigs that have been ravaging their crops, and have so far failed to catch any. They're having one last go before trying to discover what has caused this lack of success. Their nets are erected, and whilst one group of hunters beats the bush to frighten the animals towards the nets, Andrea waits silently with his spear to kill the fleeing animals. Once again, the hunt fails as the animals flee in the wrong direction.
Queen Gupaye Hino, Kana Para. Queen Gupaye Kana Para, Meta Mangaratini, Meta Kabiratini, Ameti Baliatica Kurakura. Gu Binzare, Miniko ina Gamarco, Bogozu.
Tatanga jitera kasuvura mangu giliyo imina nine kamanga hani anaka ina ira mauka na anan anaka ba ku imeyo kimbili metie na bodu ngavu dembudu nuku gubori kambira nga imetie ya alikishini ga ira mangu pedunga ira mauka kambira imetie nikisuka na vuko onija ani savura mina mekono kaula bana Tika kumogiri moyo. Mina foni me. Giri nya dure mina je ngakoro etimbalo. Mi digiri nya akoro eni suje vura. Alaka sono ni alme. Alaka sono ni alme. Baya wo wuri de wuri ba
Marco, the witch doctor, acts here as yet another form of oracle. Like the termites, rubbing board, or poison oracles, he can, through his dancing and his questions, diagnose the influences that have caused Andrea's misfortune. Since any Zande can be a witch, no one present can feel sure that Marco will not point him out as the culprit. But in this instance, he has decided that the cause of the trouble is not witchcraft. He has seen that social relations between the sub-chief Andrea and his subjects are strained. He suggests a treatment. If Andrea were to act more generously towards his neighbors, the hunters would once again be successful.
Atagwanga chotele dana tokila atagwanga fo tandi before kinti dipyo budwa krati bono munga obonga avote agome ona yele pia baba mwenzi koda ngwavu andi mandi ya noni je ngaro ni kuyikubwa agome ka ngo kutikaje ngo na kutikanya yani ngo nyuma kutonya kote kango.
The specialist has diagnosed the complaint and proposed a cure. Andrea and his fellow hunters will follow Marco's advice with every hope of success. But should Andrea fail to kill the pig, then the fault will not lie with Marco or the system of divination, but with additional influences affecting Andrea, such as the presence of a film crew, or someone not having observed the correct preparations before the rituals began. Marco, the witch doctor, also performs other rituals. He is a Christian, and like most Zande Christians, he is happy to embrace the new, but sees no need to reject the old practices, like witchcraft, especially when they work. Marco, the witch doctor, and Zorro, the chief, both believe that obedience to traditional practices is important for keeping order. The young are less certain. As the power of the chiefs has waned, they have become more licentious and feckless in their ways. Joseph, for example, is only 16 years old. He already has one wife in Zaire, but with the meager income he derives from his plot of land and sporadic hunting, he cannot afford to bring her to the Sudan. He consoles himself by attending pombos. The preparations for these ceremonies that mark the end of mourning for a dead relative take upwards of a week. These once hallowed institutions have become for the young an occasion for a good time, where strong spirits and beer flow freely and the chances for illicit affairs are increased. Last year, at a pombo like this, Joseph met another girl, Atonita. She has just given birth to his baby daughter. So the young man, with barely enough to keep himself, has to pay compensation to the parents of the girl, raise enough money to marry her, and still find the sum necessary to bring his first wife from her parents' house in Zaire. None of these pressures will keep him away from getting the most out of a pombo. The man who is giving the celebrations warns his young guests to behave.
Paper from Tony and Game. Waneka tunaka dogi berera. Waleka buringo na baso, na sabe, na ngondo, keimo boronania. Ani dogi berere zereji. Ani inga tipanyo made kwentere. Ani yeke ka dogwere. Bike gine miko kupangame. Waburo ke bi borona jakureni. Nine keimo borokusa gureka siangangaya. Ado kina kwere zereji. Kuti girarago. Aniki ndute kurogani abugureka siafudanga borobore kumakamanyo izini na dungwa tibia. Mabruk are anaje kugbeta kuborone kichigani aname.
The pombo goes on all night, with most guests arriving only after dark. When it's over, Joseph must return to the reality of his complex life. At the homestead of his girlfriend, his week-old child and her 15-year-old mother are waiting inside her hut to leave it for the first time since the birth. Before this first venture to the outside world, she listens to the advice of her mother.
Savanga pogudata. Nipete kwali inige kama savanga pogudete wamina pe foro. Ya pogudete membambona.
Ayanga paita. Hikira kuda hikira ha.
Kipa hikira kudepe.
Hikira kudepe.
Wa hikira kudepe murugo chiro na alibe. Ambo kudepe. Udena manga boro kine pio mboli kiunda nini ki bandeta. Kamusavyanga panadia.
Atanita and her baby pass beneath a magic arch to undergo a purification ritual, supervised by the midwife who delivered the child. Around the baby's neck and arms are items of magical protection. Both Joseph and his young girlfriend accept that magic and witchcraft are important forces that need to be respected by following the correct rituals. And so, like all other Azande mothers and fathers, they help their baby enter the world by purifying her in smoke.
Mita. Sunga fungi me musunga wenu ba fungi. Aiwa ngimi. Mutu musungoli. Dunduka chigagara giro ya musunguliwe cheka zoro mbata.
Iso suga ofina aboro to na ngeli kitna ka sunga na ko boro. Mange goni han goni.
Kini tumbo chigaga na jikwali koyo. Nasamba mutumba kono pori. Chigaga.
Oni jili nda. Oni fungali kono.
When the baby has been purified sufficiently, she is taken away to be washed with water and herbs. Zande women do much of the work in the fields, as will Atanita if Joseph does manage to raise the rest of the money needed to complete his marriage to her.
Nang balago chipatani kudikebulu ani sunguna wa udwa kubani na kubabuba kupamia mekora fumbali chininga na disono madali kutema fara nikembuli nikitiri
ina banda fogo gude wakaibanda kinagwe nganzeme mumwengi wa nzeme ukasende bero ma wega nganzeme te ba wana dumbatani edegude chigani kini sono kumba ki dekansana he tiparani kumba ni fumara ani kisungumbata gudoge garare degude chigani kumbo ni atega sana he tipani niki mapie mukumbo ni guni duno gude niki maduno gude po duni no gude tere kina kunani o gude ni duwa ka mboli undani tipami adu na ngbadule mikia mia manga wamboli kine katabe kokulile liza kabata kabange tavungu mbatana adu ya ni jirani chigani ani kisungu kiye kama ngahe anarani kimwenja he abuda he kini gashiro na ni sawu kukumba moyo mukini nduko sunga kugudeni ka jaro nga de uli kumbamu mo gbende bakende awugo posio akondo abuda aboruki yedu kambira ha ga ilisana muni gashiro na he wosi adumbata gara narani chigani wa na sona
Many of the older generation of Azande believe, like Atonita's mother and Chief Zorro, that the morals and attitudes of the young have declined and decayed because of a comparable decline in Zande traditional beliefs and behavior. They blame modern government rather than the church for this development. Although the teachings of the church conflict with Zande beliefs in witchcraft and magic, older Zandes approve of the code of behavior that priests like Father Jerome preach to his congregation, even if that code is largely ignored by Joseph's generation. The young attend and enjoy the services, but express astonishment that a man like Father Jerome doesn't have wives or mistresses, and that despite being an Azande, he doesn't believe in the powers of witchcraft. In the past, the region in which a household was situated determined whether a family became Protestant or Catholic. Under the British authorities, Zande land was divided into spheres of influence between the different missionary groups. The Nandi region of Father Jerome came under the Verona Fathers, and as a result, practically everyone living here today is Catholic. The mixture of Catholic rituals with Zande music and words has given the services their own unique Azande identity. But Father Jerome admits that he still has a long struggle before his preachings overcome his congregation's deeply rooted faith in magic, witchcraft, and divination, since for many of them these practices provide practical answers to everyday problems in a way the church does not. Failure in the hunt, inexplicable illness, disputed evidence in cases of adultery are all examples of problems to which Father Jerome has no direct solution. He claims that he is, however, making some progress, but the Azande use of magic and oracles, he believes, will only disappear when his rural followers have access to better education, like their fellow Azande in the towns. Father Jerome will continue to preach against magical practices, and even traditionalists like Chief Zorro are not entirely unsympathetic.
ngodo abura fuli mwenga kine kwa kuchitiano do kini zungati ya tipa benge ga benge pa kinga te kine gugbinzara ni ne ni ga benge pa ani ni sunguna ni bikabirani ka soro ko pani na biara itigo muna pepa fuyo itiyo ya vurumbali mbali kina gunga ga benge pa sina ga go kachiri ya soro ya batanga benge te ka benge vule ye taba ingbe ya nyenga bule sikia